One, check, check, Mike Chickadee check. And we are rolling with another episode of Industry Interviews. I am your host and good buddy, Dan Brown Jr., creative director and composer of CrimeSonics. And today I am joined by executive director of the Production Music Association, better known as the PMA, the one, the only, the lovely Miss Morgan McKnight. How you doing, lady?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
I am on the second latte. It's only 10 a.m.
I'm into it. I'm on my second cup of coffee as well.
Yeah, and it's funny because it's been warm here in LA and the studio's been really hot. I let the air run all night last night and now I'm freezing in here.
Yeah, so I just moved to Texas. I think you know
Oh,
I told you that. So I just got out here, and so it's definitely I'm in AC now all the time. So I feel you.
so
I
tell
feel
me
you.
tell me about that. So is this your homeowner first time or a second house or what's going on?
Yeah, first time homeowner
Oh,
in
congrats.
Austin, Texas. Thank you so much. Long process, but super excited to be here. And I have a really cool office set up. I'll send you pictures.
Oh, please
And it's
do.
just like my first like big girl office, you know? Like I feel like I don't know, I feel my house and my life and my office and all these things kind of match where I'm at, career wise now. So
Hashtag adulting proper.
exactly. Exactly.
So are you currently like living in boxes? I mean, like where is the house as we speak?
I didn't come out with a whole lot of stuff and I had furniture kind of lined up to buy. So I'm actually pretty set up. I need like a rug and a coffee table and a kitchen table, but all my office furniture is here. The bedroom furniture is all completely there and furnished, and the kitchen is completely furnished. We have a couch, so we're pretty pretty far along considering.
My wife and we are big fans of Restoration Hardware furniture. Are you familiar?
No, is that where you got your couch?
Yeah, you've seen, right? The epic, huge, mega couch.
The biggest couch ever. Yeah, I've been
And
looking for one exactly like that. So thank you for telling me your secret.
you know what? I'll put a link to that in the description of this video. There's a few names to that couch, competing companies. One will call it the Cloud. I think ours is called the Dream. Like it's like a 9 foot wide couch. Um,
Yeah,
Gotta have it.
we have a whole upstairs entertainment space, like a whole floor, basically, that's just completely wide open. So we're
And you
looking to
said,
put like a projector in there and
oh,
like that type of a couch, that type of that
how
type of vibe in
how
there.
cool. And you said it was in Austin, Texas.
Yes.
Are you are you from where are you from?
No, California. From California, born and
Born
raised.
and raised.
Yeah,
Wow.
29 years.
Oh wow. And then you bought a house in Texas. I mean, that's a big leap, right?
Huge. Yeah,
Wow. But
huge.
I mean, come on, right? Everything we do, right, is kind of on the internet now. So
Yeah, I mean, I have been working from home now for almost 5 years and developed systems and developed things that it just made it easier, to make that decision and to get the approval that I needed and all of that. So yeah, big move, but tons of support all around. So really good
yeah,
step. I think I'm isolated a little bit more and can, you know, really focus and get things moving for the PMA the way that we want them to go.
yeah. And you know what? I have a ton of PMA, PMC questions I want to get to. But before I jump into all that stuff, I'd actually like to know a little bit more about your path personally to the PMA. So you're from California. Where did you go to school?
I went to school. So I'm born and raised in this town called Napomo, California. It's about an hour and 10, 15 minutes north of Santa Barbara. So right along the coast, but like central California. Grew up there, went to high school at, Napomo High School, and then went to the Academy of Arts in San Francisco for 3 years, graduated in 3 years there because I'd gone to community college before, but played soccer there and studied multimedia communications, which was really cool, very hands-on, very news newsy, you know, we put together news broadcasts, we put podcasts together, we did social media training, we did journalism and storytelling, just all kinds of communication types and mediums. And it was a really, really, really cool hands-on experience. And like I said, I was playing soccer there, Division II. So really great, fun time. And then moved to LA, worked there for about a year after I graduated, and then moved to LA, stayed with my sister for a little bit, then got out on my own, got an apartment, went back to school, went to CSUN and got my master's in music industry administration.
Not to interrupt, and correct me if I'm incorrect, but you worked in radio a little bit, right?
Yeah, so I did. I was at CBS Radio in San Francisco, KMBQ 99.7 at the time. I think it's still KMBQ, but they got bought. CBS Radio got bought. But yeah, I was in radio for like 3.5 years. I did intern at first, and then I was doing street team stuff, and then I was getting more heavily involved in some of the content creation and producing some of the shows, or helping produce some of the shows, and just sitting in on some of the shows. And yeah, ton of experience and exposure to that industry was really, really cool. And I was young. This was before I was 21. So it was definitely like a kickstart into a hustle mentality that I have never witnessed, hadn't witnessed up until that point.
Yeah. And then was it after the radio gig when you went back and got your master's?
Yeah, I mean, I got my master's kind of randomly. I was looking more at law school and then came across the master's program and just thought it was cool. And it sounded like a great fit. So I really just kind of went for it, and it worked out very quickly, but it worked out.
Being the owner of CrimeSonics, you say law school and my ears perk up. I didn't know that you were interested in the criminal justice system.
And it's for the same industry, but I've always known that and felt like I've needed to have some sort of law training and things like that to help and do more good, do more things and be able to help more people and like legally be able to advocate on some of these issues that, we're involved in. I just am trying to take it to the next step. So I'll get there eventually, but in due time for sure.
Yeah. And then, so after you graduate with your master's in, I believe, music industry administration, how do you get from, new grad master's degree to PMA, like fill in that gap?
Yeah. So I actually started the PMA 5 months before I graduated from my program. It was really on a whim. I was still working full time because it was night classes and like weekend classes. So I was just working full time and going to school full time as a master's, whatever. I had a publishing course throughout that time, and the publishing professor was Steve Winografsky, who I'm sure a ton of people know was a really big entertainment attorney and had a lot of big clients and did a lot of great things for people. He was my publishing professor and taught us a whole world of publishing, and it was very interesting. I wasn't necessarily as engaged at the time because the classes were so quick that it was hard to really develop that sense of understanding. I think for the publishing world, it's very different, than the traditional record label. So ended up like being kind of mentored by him and just, found a likeness towards him. And we talked often, and I found this job, but the job posting had come up on the PMA Facebook page, and they were, looking for someone that had some event experience because of the conference. And that was something that I had, and I didn't know production music, but I knew the admin side of music industry stuff. I was, had learned all of that, and I knew communication, I knew marketing, and I knew events. So it was kind of on a whim. It was super random, but it, truthfully was thanks to Steve Winografsky. He put in a reference for me to the board at the time, and that weighed super heavily. So thankfully for him, and, I was able to get in there and not make him look bad. I didn't make him look bad. So
No, that's
But
that's amazing. It's like you
yeah,
never know, where you'll be or how your path will change. I was doing a podcast yesterday, and I learned about the production music industry just during a class during my bachelor's degree. I didn't even know about this industry, which has now become my life. But it was just like a 1 week assignment in one random class. It's,
yeah.
it's
I mean,
what?
people don't know.
No, you don't.
Very.
You got to be willing, I think, to go here or there if the interest peaks. Okay, so PMA, we're at
And
the.
I
Go ahead, go ahead.
I want to say one thing because I think
Oh,
this is important. I think it's also really, like I said, really important to recognize too that your opportunities aren't necessarily going to come like at a time that feels most ideal, right? Like I was looking for, another full time job or just to graduate. Like it just happened. And I think being flexible and being able to accept and recognize those opportunities when they come, even if, you don't just have to go to school full time and that's it. No matter what people say or what you think or how much time you think you have or don't have, like you can do more than one thing at a time and you can be successful at those things. So, I just think it's super important to be able to recognize those opportunities so you can take advantage of them.
no, I think it's a wonderful piece of advice. And your path, anyone's path, may not be exactly what you expect, and just be willing to, identify those opportunities, walk through doors, be flexible, be humble, be a good hang, right? Be good,
Yeah.
be good
Be a
people.
good person. Just be
Right.
a good
Yeah.
person.
we
Yeah. It's
we
very
talked
simple.
all about that, right? Doesn't matter how good you are if you're not a good dude or a good dudette. Right?
No,
Okay.
it won't get you far.
No, you won't. Okay, so you're at the PMA. Let's dig into the PMA a little bit. Tell me, let's pretend I don't know anything about the PMA. Maybe someone's listening to this podcast, they're new to the industry, they stumbled upon this, but they want to, write music for television or film. They want to start a library, and then wow, here's this PMA thing. So what is the PMA?
So the PMA is a nonprofit association that is membership based. We work with, or I guess we work on behalf of our members and with our members that are publisher members and composer members, in order to really uphold the value of the industry. A lot of what we do is centered around education and networking and advocacy as much as possible. Truly to just give people all of the information they need to make the business decisions that are appropriate for them, the business decisions that are going to, lead them towards success. We do everything we can to help people meet other people. As an association, I believe that we truly do what we can do to help all of our members succeed, whether that's a publisher or a composer member, and we'll, do whatever we can to help you. I think what's really cool about us is our community is so strong, and everyone, although there's some competition, obviously there's publisher members that are in competition with each other. It's a very unique community that looks out for each other in a way, for the most part, right? People really are helpful, and they want you to be a part of the industry. Like it's very welcoming and very warm, I would say.
Yeah, I 100% agree. How did all this start? Can you tell me a little bit about the history of the PMA?
So about 23 years ago in 1997, the PMA was founded essentially to advocate on behalf of the production music industry. What I understand, and I wasn't involved in this at the time, obviously, but
You
what I
even born?
understand, yes, I was seven. I was seven. So what I know is that, a U.S. PRO, Performing Rights Society, planned to impose a cap on production music royalties, and that would have, essentially really damaged the community. So production music companies kind of banded together. They kind of worked they quickly discovered that working together was going to amplify their influence. And then shortly thereafter, they formed the Production Music Association. So it truly started with the intent and the value to withhold the production music industry. And that's what continued to be, moving to this day.
Yeah, so it sounds like that the sense of community that we experience now was kind of injected in its DNA at the very beginning.
Yeah, I mean, it was literally founded, quite literally founded on creating a community of an industry that was very underrepresented, and truthfully still is, in my opinion. But it highlighted the sense that everyone really is in this together, and if we work together better, then our chances of success and our chances of, like I said, withholding that value of the creative and the creator, that's going to stand, because who's going to try to fight off a group of a lot of people
Yeah, right.
that are really truly just banded together to try to do the right thing. Like there's nothing else about it. It's truly just, we want to see people do the right thing, and we want everyone to recognize their value and be recognized for that value.
Yeah, the next question I was going to ask, which we're kind of answering now, which is why should composers and publishers join the PMA? What are some other advantages of getting involved with the PMA?
I think one of the biggest advantages is what we've been talking about, and that is the community. I think there are countless stories that I've heard of people meeting at the PMC and signing a deal a week later. I even heard a story that somebody signed a publishing deal at the last PMC just during the conference. So there's just so much opportunity in this community, because it's such a fluid market, right? And it's not going away. Like we're literally like one of the music industry markets that is consistent, because it's content driven. It's not necessarily music driven, right?
Yeah.
So for me, when I speak to composers, it's like, listen, we're not going to tell you how you can and can't make money. Like, I can't tell you what to do in your business. I will tell you that if you join and you become, a part of this community, and you're actively engaged and you're involved, then the opportunities are really, really, really out there for you. There are a ton of publishers and a ton of other composers that want to work with new people. Like there's a ton of collaboration, right? And just giving people that access to people that they don't even know about, certain composers that write a similar genre of them, and they can maybe study their work because they have placements in an HBO, NBC, whatever it is. Being able to point people in that direction to do some more homework and learn styles and see what's getting placed, it's super beneficial for people. And that, then leads to the connectivity of it. Then you meet that person, and then you start working together, and then your placements in your work just develop from there. So, I mean, for me, my biggest thing is truly about the community aspect and the networking aspect, because there's some great people here and some great people involved that, are here to help you and really do want to see you thrive and succeed and make money. Like, no one's ever going to tell you can't do it. Like, we're super supportive and super ready for everyone to make it. There's tons of content. There's so much opportunity here.
Yeah,
so much opportunity.
You are absolutely right. And okay, so there might be a little bit of confusion. PMA, PMC, similar acronyms. What is the difference between the two?
So the Production Music Conference, the PMC, is our annual conference that takes place in the fall, and it's put on by the Production Music Association. So the PMA presents the Production Music Conference every single year, and it is what it is. It's a 4-day conference that has panels and networking opportunities, keynote speakers, roundtables, exhibitors, new tech, new products, all types of stuff that's very specific and very catered to the production music community, but also touches on, custom scoring and video games and things like that aren't necessarily a typical needle drop production music placement, right? So we just cover a lot of ground.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking, over the last couple of years, it seems, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like each year the conference gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, definitely. When I started, it was a 1-day conference before me. So then I started, and it was a 2-day conference. We made it a 2-day conference, and we had about 150 people. It was pretty small.
Yeah.
Very small comparatively, but it was a good size from what I had heard, right? What I had heard from the past. So out of 150 to 160 people, and we are up over 700 now in 4 years. 4 years.
Yeah.
So huge growth, and it's still growing. We increase the numbers every single year. We see a larger international audience come out every single year. We see more students get involved every single year. So there's it's people are interested, and it's a fun event. We have a great time. We have the best time. Everyone is, like I said, so friendly, so fun. It's a ton of great energy in the room.
And I hear there's some pretty wild after parties too. Am I mistaken?
They are growing. Yeah. I mean, some of our larger members and some even smaller members and our sponsors and exhibitors, they do throw like after parties. Had a BMG after party a couple years, and AdRev did an after party one year. It's just a lot of fun. People are really there to learn, but they're also there to have fun, meet new people, enjoy themselves, network, see old friends, see old faces. Like, it's just a combination of everything, and overall super productive and like a really good, energetic environment.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking, just even the last PMC 2019, there were, countless composers, publishers, sub-publishers, international publishers, software companies, audio detection companies. I'm just kind of going down the list. Famous composers,
The PROs,
music supervisors. I mean, without any exaggeration, if you are interested in the production music or music for media industry, it really is a who's who all in one room or all in a few rooms over a few day period. I mean, it's kind of a unique and pretty incredible opportunity, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, definitely. And I also like highly encourage, and I'll put this out into the universe and for all of the composers listening to this, when we resume the PMC, when we come back in 2021, if you guys come to me and you have had done your homework and you know who you want to meet, or you think that so-and-so publisher will be there, please reach out to me. Help me help you set up meetings before the conference, because that's what I'm here to do. That's what I'm here to help you with. Anytime someone asks me to set them up with someone, or, hey, can I get a meeting with so-and-so? I'd say 95% of the time, if we're not talking about certain players that are hard to keep in one room for any amount of time, but people are willing to meet you and they want to meet you, and I'm happy to do that connection. And it's beneficial for real. So if anyone ever needs help or wants to meet anyone or talk to anyone or get advice from anyone, please reach out to me, but definitely have done your homework first and be able to, stand on your own 2 feet when you're speaking with them, because it's not everyone we want to put through like that. But if you have done your homework and you know exactly who you want to talk to and why, then it's so easy and it's going to really be beneficial for you.
That's an interesting topic you bring up. Well, I'm just curious from your perspective. Let's say, a first time PMC attendee comes, or maybe, someone newer to the industry, they come and, they are gung-ho, guns a-blazing, fired up, ready to sign every deal in the universe. What are some of the maybe like don'ts they should be aware of when interacting with some of the biggest movers and shakers in the industry? What are some of the pitfalls they might fall into?
Yeah. So I'd say first off, if it's your first time coming to the PMC, I recommend finding someone whose time it's not the first that they've gone. Find someone who's been before. Make a friend, connect with them on Instagram or Facebook or social media, message them and say, hey, I'm coming to the PMC. I've never been before. Any tips you have for me? Start talking to people that have come before, because they certainly have, seen the lay of the land. They can help you navigate. And it's super helpful, I think, to connect with some of those people to get some of that advice. And I think as you, dive into it, and as you get there and start talking to people and start listening to deals and working out contracts and making these relationships, I think there's, a couple things that are important to look out for. I think people that are asking you to give away your writer's share is something you need to be conscious of. I think that people that are, offering you non-exclusive deals are sometimes should be, considered and looked at a little more carefully and or avoided depending on what your goals are and what your hopes are in the industry. And I think royalty-free models. We were very vocal in saying that the royalty-free model is not the way to go. It doesn't help composers in any way, shape, or form in the long run. And, it just doesn't set you up for success long term. So those would be the things that I would say to do and to not do, or to look out for and just be more aware of, just in general. And, we have a lot more information on some of those things in the resources section of our website too. So if you don't know what that means, or you have, additional questions, be sure to check that out too, because it can help guide some of you that are really unsure about what's out there, unsure about the deals, unsure about the companies and things like that.
Yeah, that's to piggyback on what you're saying. I was just thinking about how I traversed the PMC. Just to personalize it. I remember I cannot remember what year it was, maybe 2015. I'm not sure. But, I didn't
Where
know.
was it?
It was at the Guild of
Okay.
Directors.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
right?
So 2015.
That's on
Yeah.
Sunset Boulevard.
Yep.
Right. So I remember,
2015.
I remember coming to the PMC, and I thought these, I'm just, free flowing here. These are my internal thoughts. Okay. I don't know a lot of these people. I write for a lot of these libraries, but I don't really know anybody. So I'm just going to come down and just hang. And I've always, kept in the back of my mind this kind of thing, like nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care, and it doesn't matter how good you are if you're not a good dude. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to this first year, and I'm not going to try to do anything other than just meet people and have a good time.
Yeah.
And I quickly realized that this is the place to be. This PMC is pretty miraculous. Made some great friends, made some great connections. I think I had another library opportunity that afternoon. And then it was either the following year or the next year, humbly, transparently, I thought, hey, I got a unique perspective maybe on this industry. Maybe I could get involved. I remember reaching out to Morgan, and I pitched a panel, and I think since now I've done 3 panels 3 years in a row with the PMC. And it's just been this amazing, somewhat short really, but amazing journey, just, kind of navigating through the PMC, meeting people, started my own library through the PMC, was able to meet, our sub-publisher currently at the time of this podcast, BMG Production Music, signed a global distribution deal with them. I don't think any of that would have happened if it were not for the PMC, actually.
Yeah, that's crazy. And such a cool story, though. I mean, and it really does go to show, too, and I say, help us help you. The more engaged you are and the more active you are and involved you are, it helps you, We're a small team over here. So if, we do everything we can, but the more we hear from you guys and the more active and engaged you are, the more it's going to benefit you. You're going to meet people, you're going to meet, talk to more people, know more people, be forced into meetings that you wouldn't have otherwise been in, but it's important. And then you start working with people on a different level, and then that, work ethic translates into your creative work ethic, and that relationship starts with something else, but then builds to what your goal is at the end of it. You know what I mean? So
absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean, get involved for sure.
Yeah. And I was just thinking too, I remember seeing some composers and artists like crashing and burning in some of their interactions at some of the cocktail parties. And so some of the things that I think in agree to disagree or agree not, here's some of the things that I saw that maybe a new composer, new artist to the PMC might not want to do. One of the things that I saw that it reminded me of the music peddlers on Hollywood Boulevard, right? They just walk up to you and they put a CD in your face. And then as soon as you hand it, they're like, let me get $1, right? And I don't think that approach of just forcing yourself onto someone in a very intrusive and unnatural way is ever really going to be effective. What do you think?
So I agree and I disagree.
Let's do it.
I would say very heavily, it depends on the person. It depends on the person you are talking to. If you meet someone who has, if there's a library or a publisher or another composer or whatever that has a more direct personality or a more, aggressive in a good way personality, then someone being abrupt like that and coming up and maybe not shoving a CD in their face, but being very direct with, hey, I've researched your company. I wrote this song for you. Again, if it's tailored to that person, it could work. It could work.
No, I agree with that. I guess the only difference
Yeah.
would be is if I'm walking down Hollywood Boulevard, that song was not written for me.
No. Right. But again, it's circumstantial, right? Like, yes, for the most part, if you are putting the same song in everyone's face, then it's not authentic, and that's a really big piece of this. So, while yes, that abruptness and aggressiveness might work for some people, if it's authentic on both ends, it works, right? But that authenticity is really important across the board, and if you're not that type of a person, and you're unsure of how to approach people or how to start that conversation, again, find someone who's been before, find someone who knows some people there, find someone, like, meet that person beforehand, get comfortable, get acquainted, like, have a buddy. And if you don't have that, then observe and engage when it makes sense for you, right? Like, observe and be around conversations, and at least go introduce yourself and say, hey, my name is so-and-so, I'm a composer, what's your name? What do where are you from? Start there, start very simply, and just say, okay, cool, I'm just getting to know people, nice to meet you. And, it could be very simple, but it just depends on the person. It depends on what's authentic to that person. It depends on, the energy in the room. It's a people game at the end of the day, and being able to navigate people is very important in any industry, but specifically here when we're talking about production music and industry relationships.
Yeah, you know what, you're right. And I think I've mentioned this now in every episode of this podcast. It's not the music business, it's the friend business, right? You just got to be a good hang. One thing we didn't touch on are the roundtables that happen at the PMC.
Yes.
And kind of like what we're talking about might be a really great example of when that does become more organic. Can you explain a little bit about the roundtables?
Yes, the roundtables are by far my favorite thing that we do, because I just feel like it's so low key and, again, authentic. It's not forced. We're not forcing information down your throat, where, it's an open communication pathway that's just very productive for all parties involved. So the way roundtables work are we set hosts at roundtables of 10, and it's pretty much first come, first serve. And we do some sort of like rotation sometimes that kind of cycle people through each table depending on what they're interested in. But each table is led by an industry vet or a tech executive or a music supervisor or a composer that had just worked on a project, or, anyone and everyone. And attendees have the opportunity to just sit at that table with that person and talk to them and ask them questions and say, how did you make that song? And say, what's next for your technology? And how do you guys monitor YouTube revenue? Things like that, right? They can sit and really have that powerful, authentic conversation with someone and get the answers that they are specifically looking for. And that is a huge part of our conference, and it's the interest in it has grown and grown and grown. So we've developed, side roundtable events that we just did one in May last year in New York. It was just a roundtable event, and, very well received and very helpful for people. And again, just casual, low key, and, drink some Gatorade, have some coffee, and sit down and talk to somebody and have an authentic conversation, get their questions answered, and then move on about your day. It's a really, really, really cool opportunity that we give people, for sure.
You just brought up something that I actually didn't even think about asking until right now. So talk to me about what happens with the PMA in New York.
So every May, usually during the springtime, we go to New York and just put on a small panel event for our East Coast family that's out there. They're usually very small events, between 100 and 150 people, sometimes less, depending on what we're doing. And it could be anything. We've done panels out there on specific topics. We did one a few years ago about advertising and production music and advertising. And the latest one we did, like I said, was a roundtable, speed dating roundtable session. We had set up 6 or 7 tables, had 2 hosts or 2 experts at each table, and had topics, category topics at each table. One was like tech, and one was, you know, a creative process for a composer. They're just different things, and people were able to sit at each table for 30 minutes and have conversations with people, and then rotate. And they go to another table for 30 minutes, and another table for 30 minutes. And it was just great time. A lot of new faces, a lot of familiar faces, but just a really good informational sharing session. But yeah, we go every May. We're there. We were planning on going to Nashville this year in August, but unfortunately we won't be going there this year, but hopefully in 2021. So we do have various smaller events throughout the year in Q1, Q2, and Q3 that are opportunities for people to get together and learn something and network and see some people that they know.
Very exciting stuff. PMA, Production Music Association, PMC, Production Music Conference. What the heck are the MARC Awards? What's that all about?
The MARC Awards are an annual award show that recognizes the best of production music. They were founded after Andy Mark, and we are in our 5th year. Wow. I believe. 5th year. No, 6th year. This would have been the 6th year.
And so, who enters the MARC Award? How do they win? How does that process look?
So publishers or composers can enter their music into the MARC Awards. Whatever you feel like is your best piece of work, we encourage you to submit it. If you have, 3 or 4 or 5 songs you think are up to par and are your best of the best, then we encourage you to enter. And how it works is we have a panel of esteemed judges, and they go through the submission categories. We have just song-based categories, and we have usage-based categories. So best use in a commercial advertisement is one of our usage, best use in a film or TV trailer, things like that. And then we have, best production music track in jazz, best production music track in hip hop or urban, and various categories for various entries. So anyone can enter, truthfully, anyone can enter, composers and or publishers. And it's just, we put on the award show and we play the music and we have nominees and we select our winners. And it's a really, really fun party and celebration to honor, like I said, give production music that platform that it hasn't had in the years past, and really give it the respect and recognition that it deserves, truthfully.
And when you say anyone can enter, can a composer publisher who's not a member of the PMA enter?
Yes, anyone can enter. You do not have to be a member, but we do obviously recommend membership prices are discounted for things like the MARC Award submission fees and the production music conference registration. So it's a benefit to be a member, but yeah, it is open to the public essentially, and anyone can enter.
And in addition to the MARC Awards, there actually are a couple other awards, right? The Hall of Fame Awards and the Ambassador Awards. Could you speak a little bit about how those individuals are chosen and how those awards are given? Absolutely.
So the Hall of Fame Award is given to an individual of a current or pre-existing production music library. Someone who really is a trailblazer and whose work has made significant contributions towards the advancement of the production music industry. So really someone that's been in the mud and has really just done a lot of great things internally for the production music industry. That is the Hall of Fame Award that we give every year. And the Ambassador Award that we have is given to an individual from any field. So it could be like a tech or a client or a network or a music supervisor, basically any field that has devoted just exceptional service towards ensuring a thriving and sustainable production music industry. So Ambassador Award is another cool one where we get to recognize people that are a little bit outside of the production music industry itself, but certainly an integral part of what we do.
That's very cool. And I'm just curious, so you are the executive director, the face, Morgan McKnight, everyone knows you, or at least knows of you, right? Because of PMA, PMC. But who else is involved in the PMA? Like, how is all this governed, and what does that all look like?
So it is myself, and I have a board of directors. There's 12 board of directors right now, various publisher companies and composers that are our board of directors. And then we are bringing on someone to do some marketing and communications for us. So it's a really, really small team. First time, I'm the first full-time employee they've had, and it's, been governed as a very small team for a really long time. So, we're certainly trying to grow the association and get more people involved. And, we have a ton of involvement from our members and our committees. There are, Dan is on our production music conference planning committee.
Hey!
That is now turned into our PMA Academy team for the time being. So, again, opportunities to connect with people. Here you go. We have committees that, we could use voices on, and ideas and opinions, and that's open to PMA membership or to PMA members to be on those committees. So, it's really governed, and the work is done by myself and like the team, a huge team of volunteer help that I get with my board and my membership is helping me on my committee. So huge team effort, group effort, community effort, because I certainly can't do this by myself. And it is not only that, I don't want to, I want everyone involved. I want people to feel like they have a say and that they're involved in the industry that they are, attempting to, or making a career off of, or just doing for fun or passion or whatever the case may be. It's a community for everybody.
Well, you touched on two things. One, you said you were the first full-time employee. And I'll just say, since you've been there, the thing's been growing and growing and growing. So probably not a coincidence. And you also touched on...
They needed the help. They needed it. I do what I can do, but they needed it. That's where it was at the time. Time to bring in someone full time to get this conference up off the ground and, developing. So,
well, everybody knows you're killing it. But you also talked about something that I have in big, bold letters right here in my notes, the new PMA Academy for 2020.
Yes.
What is this all about?
I am so excited about this. So the PMA Academy is a bi-weekly webinar series. It's starting as a bi-weekly webinar series, just to be clear.
Okay.
We launched this because, unfortunately, we did decide to cancel the production music conference this year that was scheduled for the fall due to the circumstances that we are all in. But we didn't want to lose that sense of connection. And in fact, we really wanted to grow that sense of connection. So, internally, we've been discussing ways to bring our community together on a more regular basis for those people that don't necessarily live in LA, like myself now.
Yeah.
It's important to be available and be connected to everybody, whether it's internationally or domestically. And I think, as our international footprint grew and our international membership grew, then we've been trying to brainstorm ways and think of things to do to bring everyone together on a more regular basis. So we launched the PMA Academy, which is, very geared towards education as well. It's networking and it's education. We are putting together panels that are, relevant and timely, and we'll also have meetings. We'll just have open town hall meetings where everyone can get together and we can go over industry topics and things of that nature. So it's a very flexible webinar series that is free for everybody for the remainder of 2020. And will continue to be free for PMA membership into 2021 and 2022 and as we move forward. So this is a permanent addition to the Production Music Association and our benefits that we offer and our PMA member benefits that we offer, and I'm super excited about it. We launched our first one and discussed resources with people and just shared knowledge that we had, and it went really great, and it was great to host people, and it'll continue, and hopefully this will not only serve as a way to educate some of our membership as we encounter issues that come up with whoever it is, PROs or networks or whatever, as we go through our agendas and handle initiatives and whatever the case may be. It's just going to be relevant and timely in a way for us to stay connected and stay informative for our membership.
Yeah. How exciting. I know if I were listening to this podcast and I were not a member of the PMA or had never attended a PMC or now this new PMA Academy, I would be hooked. So how do people find out this information? I will put these links in the description, but go ahead and give them to us now.
So everything is on our website, www.pmamusic.com. You can find the PMA Academy under our resources section. And if you're interested in joining and becoming a member, you can sign up on our website as well. If anyone has any questions beforehand or wants to talk through some things or whatever the case may be, anyone can feel free to email me. My email is morgan@pmamusic.com, and Dan can put this in the description as well for you guys. So all the information is there, and if there's anything that is not there and you would like clarified, feel free to reach out. I'm always available.
I have one last question in regard to the PMC. Can companies, publishers in the industry, can they sponsor the PMC?
Yes, we have a lot of sponsorship opportunities for the conference that range from private room sessions to panel sponsorships to cocktail party sponsorships to lanyard sponsorships to key card sponsorships. So anything and everything you could think of, photo booth and charging station, all types of stuff. And it is, depending on what your goals are, right? It is such a good way to get in front of the right people, meet people, build your business, connect, whatever, put on a presentation, or just get some branding out of it. I mean, it's, like I said, over 700 people over 4 days. So a ton of time, a ton of people, and a great opportunity. And since we're not doing the PMC this year, there's also sponsorship opportunities for the PMA Academy webinars that we're doing as well. So those are, anything from presenting webinar sponsors to, I want to put on my own presentation webinar session. And, we can get creative. We're all adapting and pivoting in this time. So we're here to get creative. If you want to get creative and do a show and tell or whatever you crosses your mind, let's do it. Let's figure out how to make it work, and we'll make it happen.
Absolutely. All right, Morgan McKnight, what have I not asked? What have we missed? I mean, we have touched on a lot.
We have touched on a lot.
Is there anything I have forgotten to ask that I would be so remiss? And then we put this out and I'm like, I wish I would have asked you this.
No, I think that's it. Just be sure to follow us on social media at the PMA Music on Twitter and Instagram, and then Production Music Association on Facebook. We have a lot of announcements coming out. We'll be, like I said, we're bringing on someone to start telling some stories and do some content and marketing for us. So, keep on the lookout for some new things and initiatives and developments. And, we will stay as in touch as we can with you guys.
All right, Morgan McKnight, Executive Director of the Production Music Association. We've got the PMA.
Thank you.
PMC. We've got PMA Academy Mark Awards, Hall of Fame Awards, Ambassador Awards. I mean, it's just, speaking personally, I advocate for the PMA. I very, very much advocate for the PMA. I want to thank you for coming on Industry Interviews with me and having a great chat, my lady.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And we are out of here.